Good morning. Welcome to what we're affectionately calling the Alka-Seltzer session. To break you in gently, we're going to kick things off by watching a bit of telly. As you watch this short film, I'd encourage you to look for the similarities between the immense physical undertaking and the challenges and stresses of building a business. Please run the VT.
So what are you about to do, hun?
Swim the channel.
Are you going to kick some ass?
Yeah, I'm going to kick ass.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you.
Tekara, tenene tanaka tagaka, pahuru huru, nane ama tikira, pafafiti. Hupani, kupani, hupani, kapani, fiti tera.
That was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets
There's
of
Dover.
cobblestone.
And then here's Chris. Oh my god, I cannot stand up.
Beneath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence.
You're doing amazing, hun.
Doing some big favours to yourself here, Chris.
Yeah, you do, man.
Big favours. You'll be patting yourself on the back.
Keep going, hun bun. You're doing amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Chris Penn.
Wow.
That's a bit of an opener.
That's really tough to watch.
Yeah, I bet.
That one of the most emotional things I've ever done, and I cannot tell you how much at the end of that my emotions just absolutely exploded. And then watching it back, it's not the best way to start an interview because I feel a little bit teary, but there you go.
Vulnerable. I'll talk for a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hotel professional, Team GB triathlete, Ironman, done a bit of a swim as well. There's a fire within you that pushes you beyond boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm wondering where that comes from and what keeps it alight.
Yeah, okay, so I guess that some people would say I'm just born a nutter, that I have some mental disposition that makes me want to do crazy things. And with the channel, as an example, that was the first thing I ever did where I felt that there was a chance I could die. And trying to accept that, it sounds odd, but I was okay that was an output because I believed that I could train hard to make sure that output didn't happen. But probably being a nutter is not the real driver. I think the real driver is this sense that we were born with this incredible machine, this machine which is a piece of technology, our body and our mind, that has been evolved and perfected over years and years of evolution, where our forefathers have enabled us to have this very, very powerful body. And I've always felt that we're blessed to have that. We should try and use it to its potential. We only get one chance on the planet. So why don't we push the boundaries and see what we can achieve both mentally and physically? And so my real driver has been very much your mind controls your physical output. My mind was something I used to have some struggles with. It was very active. Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up, you learnt a lot about kind of the very academic intelligence, but nobody taught you about this incredible complex thing that was in here and helped you to understand how actually that fundamentally controls what you achieve in life. Mm-hmm. And what you set as your potential. And so I found that endurance and pushing my potential in endurance and testing my limits enabled me to learn more about my mind. And as I learned more about my mind, I became more confident, more happy, more healthy. And so for me, it's about making the most of that opportunity that you have and continuing to help to learn more about yourself as an individual.
And then how does that translate from the personal physical challenges and endurance into a professional capacity?
Well, I've always seen a big correlation between the things that I was doing in sport and in endurance sport and then the business outputs that I was creating in the hotel industry. And I always felt like a little bit of an outsider as someone that used to turn up to work in Lycra when the people that I was working with would almost sneer at me doing that. But I found that discipline and that vehicle of sport, the way that sport looks at you as a person and tries to create a performance output, the way that helps your mind and body and then achieves these goals, actually if you take that into business, it creates incredible outputs and a real discipline around how to achieve performance in a wider sense. And so I think there's always been a big correlation and crossover. And that's why when I decided to set out on my own, I wanted to embrace that and I wanted to deliver something that was taking all those wonderful elements of sport that deliver performance output. And that performance relative to self, whether that's first step, whether that's first 5K, whether that's 1% quicker on a 25-mile bike race. Being able to help people to realize their own potential through that vehicle of sport is what I think is the most exciting opportunity in what I'm doing.
Can we talk a little bit more about that opportunity then?
Sure.
And the concept that you're creating with your business partner? Talk to me a little bit about what it is. There are two products. Talk to me a little bit about that and what the market is, who the market is that you hope will come to those?
Yeah, so in principle, we've developed, and very much theoretically at the moment, because whilst we're close to securing sites, we still don't have our first site. But we've developed a resort model, which is basically creating an iconic hub in the UK for engagement in sport. So it's taking professional infrastructure for sports and performance. Typically the kind of things that you get in Loughborough University, kind of things that professional athletes have had for many years and have enabled them to achieve incredible things as individuals, and then bringing them and making them accessible to the wider public. So a place where professionals will stay, and there'll be the right support and infrastructure for them, the right nutritional support, the right recovery, the right sleep, the right physical activity, but also a big place where amateurs and corporates are able to then engage in those same facilities and have the same support mechanisms for themselves, whatever their goal is, regardless of whether it's sport or business or general life and happiness. And then a big element of play, which balance is a big part of the performance cycle, and so having a big social element as part of that resort is important. So we would liken that to ski resorts. So you have off-piste for those that want it, you have the black runs, you have some incredible red and blue runs, and then at the end of it, all of those people that have been engaging together on those slopes, they come together and they have a good drink, and they have après ski. So we would like to develop après sport within our resort as well. So that's the resort where we're looking for opportunities in the UK at the moment, and we have our eyes on 3 or 4 sites which we're getting close to. And then what we've done is we've taken all of that mechanism of performance, life, general mental and physical output, and then we've turned that into, if we were building it in bricks and mortar in a city, what would that look like? And we're now looking for sites for that as well.
And looking in the UK at the moment?
Yeah. In the UK, the market for mental and physical well-being has grown phenomenally over the past, particularly 20 years. You look at British cycling membership. In 2005, there were 15,000 British cycling members. In 2014, there were 150,000. The growth in participation levels, particularly in swim, bike, and run, have been absolutely astronomical. But also, if you look at the drivers of the future, and I'm trying to create something which is about, for the consumers of the future, not necessarily just about today, but if you look at some of the challenges from a macro perspective in terms of productivity challenges, the Office of National Statistics predicted that 57 billion is lost in productivity due to a lack of investment in health and well-being in the UK alone. You take all of those things, you take the growth in participation levels, and you realize that the UK has people that believe that they should look after this vehicle that they have to achieve output, and that they want to live happier and healthier lives, and sport is a way to do that. But in the UK, we just don't have the accessible facilities to be able to do that. So I want to be able to be the first person to bring that to the UK.
There's a challenge possibly as well with employers understanding the importance of that for their teams, for their staff, the statistics you just mentioned about productivity. There's on the Steel Hotel's website, there's a pretty bold statement. Our minds are our most powerful possessions, yet equally they can be our biggest enemy.
Yeah.
That is hauntingly true.
Yeah.
So I assume that bold statement is the anchor to what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, I guess that's the anchor to me.
Yeah.
That's the anchor to why I take on these challenges, why, you know, the whole channel journey. And when I pieced together a video, I wanted to capture the swim. It was an incredible part of my life. But when you go through it, all of those things that were written on the screen were things that were going through my head about, why don't I just give up? No one will think any less of you. And your mind is constantly limiting your potential. So it's constantly telling you through its roots of survival and that kind of primitive drivers within you stop, to be careful, to
protect,
to stay where you are. But there's also an incredible amount extra that you can achieve, and that's where evolution comes from, is not accepting that and saying, well, no, there's more, there's a different way of doing things. And I think for the long term of the human race, as technology becomes a bigger part of our lives, the essence of what it is to be human and how that makes us different to technology, we're going to have to continue to look after that in order to make it relevant and then continue to survive as a species. And I know that sounds very long-term and very scary, but I do think that we need to look after ourselves. And particularly those elements of creativity and empathy. Empathy is a really good example of the kind of things that technology cannot deliver, which enables us as social beings to grow together and achieve incredible things.
Also something that's not taught as part of an education system. We're obsessed with teaching core skills and things. There's a big push to understand empathy and teach empathy in schools.
Yeah.
So presumably that's something that you're trying to incorporate as well.
Yeah, look, I think that these things are starting to become a part of the education system. The government has spent a lot of money in particularly grassroots sport at schools. Sainsbury's have done a big sponsored program in kind of the This Girl Can process, which is helping young females to become and feel more empowered through sport. And sport is really important because it's a nice, easy way for people to understand how to help themselves to get better and achieve better things. But I think it is starting to filter into the education system, but it's not where it should be, because actually to achieve people's potential, they need to truly understand what goes on in here. And it's very complex.
Can we talk a little bit about the work that you've done in defining the market for the product that you're creating? Because it's been intense, the processes that you've been through. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done, the research groups, the discussion groups, and sort of develop?
Yeah, I mean, we've done numerous things. I guess maybe pinpoint one specific thing that we've done. And it kind of links nicely into This Girl Can, which is an incredible campaign all around the UK. But one of the biggest growing markets in sport is the female consumer group. And the successful brands in sport have been really considerate around how they engage with the female community. Corporations are still very male-dominated, boards are still very male-dominated, and when male-dominated environments are trying to deliver products and services to females, it can come across as very patronizing and is not at all what the female audience require. I speak not as someone that is a female myself and has a true understanding, but for us it was really important, as they are such a big consumer group, to really truly understand how they feel and what makes a difference to them. And so we did a big focus group in a recent session on our brand, which we're currently going through a rebranding process on before we become a consumer-facing brand. And we got together a group of incredible females, Olympic gold medalists, Olympic athletes from yesteryear, current. We got some incredible business women that had, some of whom sport's a big part of their life, some of whom have only just, started doing 5K runs, mums, lots and lots of different females, and we got them together and said what we wanted to create, because it's really important to us that that voice is heard and that resonates through what we're trying to achieve. Because to be a credible consumer brand, we have to make sure that we never patronize and that we always understand our audience. So that's one example of some of the things that we've done.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the importance of investing in staff and the team around you.
Yeah.
just while you're thinking about the answer to that, the app is alive and well. So if anyone has any questions and they'd like to submit them through it, they'll pop up on our little screens shortly. But just coming back to, so the importance of the humans, human mind, human body. You have an incredible CV, Fleming, Stafford, Cavendish, Hartwell House, and of course the first ACE outside the US. You must have worked with some pretty incredible humans on that journey. How do you nurture them? How do you get the best out of them? And how do you encourage them to stay with you on the journey that you're taking them on? Lots of questions, sorry.
Okay. I feel that there's only cheesy answers to that, which is difficult because then it feels very staged. But the reality is, any relationship is a process of two human beings interacting and developing a relationship and a respect for each other. And so for me, whenever I was leading teams, it was just about getting to know who that person was and trying to let them know that I was a human being and that I cared about them. And when you care about people, it's incredible how much you will do for each other. And I think the fundamentals of employee engagement, and lots has been discussed in terms of human and employee engagement, but the fundamental principles of it are being a human being and respecting other human beings. And then together you will achieve incredible things. And it goes back to that kind of sense of us as human beings being social. Without other people, we're nothing. I was fascinated by the mind for many years, and particularly because of the endurance stuff I was doing. And the more I read about it, the more you realize that we need each other and that we bounce off each other, and we, through our mirroring of other people's emotions, we become more aware of ourselves and other people, and we build and grow and we become stronger. And so I don't think it's any different in the world of business. I just think typically people are looking for more logical explanations of it rather than just saying, be a human being and look after people, and then find great human beings that you want to work with and have relationships with.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. I totally support what you're saying. There will be money people who will look at a business as a collection of numbers, as a P&L, as a bottom line. How do you convince them that investment in humans has a direct response, has a positive response to that bottom line?
Well, I think the world, and you know, it happens a lot in hotels, there has become this cyclical factor of the world where everybody's looking at 3 to 5 years, and they're purely looking financially. They're purely looking at how can we deliver a financial return in 3 to 5 years. And if you're looking for a 3 to 5 year turnaround on something, it's unlikely that you will truly invest in the human capital. But I think ACE is a really good example, if we use that as an example, where, look, there was a 3 to 5 year interest from Starwood Capital who backed the asset. But there was also this understanding that actually, with a company like ACE and a brand that cared about humans, there was actually a chance in terms of an exit where there was a human capital valuation. There was this valuation within that asset that was not necessarily on the balance sheet, but was enabling that to be marketed as a more valuable proposition because of the sense of the people and therefore the knowledge that existed within that business. And I think the tech sector is a really good example of that. They don't get valuations based on current revenues and current balance sheets. They get valuations on the people that are heading up those organizations. And as such, often businesses now are being bought off the back of the human capital and the knowledge that's within there. And so I think there is evidence to suggest that knowledge and that human is very valuable. And actually, I think, you know, the old Apple story of how they overtook Sony by essentially someone heading up a company and bringing a workforce together and saying, well, let's have a vision that's over and above financial returns, and actually the financial returns in the medium to longer term become significantly greater because people work hard to a greater goal. So I don't know whether that answers the question.
I think it does.
Okay, fine. And I'm very interested that you called them money men. So you entered your own sexist comment as a female. So
I'm ready for the Twitter onslaught. So we've got some questions.
okay.
What are the top books you've read regarding this concept of regarding the sharpening your mind concept?
There are two books which have been really instrumental in my understanding of the mind. One was Thinking Fast and Slow, which was a bit deeper, talking about the way that you have two sides of your brain and the way they conflict with each other, but also can work in harmony. But also then that was kind of disseminated and made much easier to understand in a book called The Chimp Paradox. And I think when you talk to people about their chimps, there's this really clever, fun way of helping people to understand why they have road rage and why they have these impulsive decisions and reflecting it as a chimp that sits inside them. So I love The Chimp Paradox. I think that's a fantastic and easy book to read to understand the principles of how this works.
Okay. If there was one thing you could achieve to help everyone in the UK, what would it be? Big question?
To get an asset. So you know, look, we are ready to provide places and hotels that deliver care for human beings as they travel in the future, care for performance networks of companies, like real understanding of how humans live and learn and prosper. So I think once we have a site, we're able to do that for people. And as I say, we're getting close, but that is probably the way that we're able to really make an impact. We can talk a lot. Talk's great, but actually actioning is more important. And that's why I wanted to go on this journey. Is I'd spoken a lot both to myself and to others about what I wanted to achieve, but it's different saying, I want to swim the channel, I want to make a difference, I want to help the world to realize its potential, to actually then going, well, I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to commit to it.
You enjoying it?
Yeah, I love it. I have days where I think I'm an absolute idiot, where I look at my family and say, why did I do this? I was in a great job, I had a good income, we had a good life, but actually, none of that stuff really matters because we still have an incredible life and we still have each other. And money's something which comes and goes. And again, to that point about if you look for money, often money doesn't come. If you care about things and you look after people, often the byproduct of that is money. So being more considerate about what that longer term is. But yeah, some days I wake up and I think I'm an absolute idiot. Some days I wake up and I think I'm on top of the world and we're gonna deliver incredible things. The fundamentals of ambition and our ability to succeed in that with the people that, whether it's Chris, my business partner, or whether it's the other people around us, fundamentals of us being able to deliver that are there. It's just about now taking it to the next stage.
I just have one final question
Sure.
before we wrap up. This session was to talk about the wants and needs of a customer and delivering a product to a customer. What would you like your first customer review, however that's communicated to you, what would you like that to say?
I don't know, I'd quite like it to be a swear word.
Nice.
You know, someone that just goes, I won't use a swear word because I think that'd be a bit crass, but if someone literally just expressed how they felt from an emotional standpoint, for us, there are products out there that are doing things in the space of sport, in the space of well-being, and they're looking at it from a very generic and top-line perspective, and it's about what people look like, and it's looking in the mirror or it's looking at each other, and actually how people feel is much more powerful for them in terms of their life. And so I would love just to see emotion in that first response. Someone saying, that made a difference to my life. And that's a big ask, that's a big promise to make to consumers, but our intention is to make a change in people's lives. So, let's hope that that's what they say.
Chris, thank you for your insight and inspiration. You're a pioneering entrepreneur, truly penning your own story. Ladies and gentlemen, please can you join me in thanking Chris for sharing his story so far?
Thank you.